Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It's Tuesday morning, we're almost in February already. It doesn't seem 2 seconds ago that it was Christmas. Anyway, I've got a lot to do today. We've got a lot to talk about. There's potentially 4 cases that I want to cover, but I'm going to do them in separate videos. So each video is only going to be short, but just look out for them because notifications and all that, you know, they may or may not happen. So over on Michelle Walks, I'm going to be doing a video about Cody Bigsby, the little boy who's been missing now for 1 year. 1 year ago today, Cody Bigsby went missing. So I want to do a recap and update on his case. I also want to do an episode of Where Is, which is a series that I run over on Michelle Walks, about a woman who's missing in my own county called Nicola Bully. And then potentially, if there's any revelations that come out from the Alec Murdoch trial, then later today, it's kind of very late my time, I'll be putting out something about the trial. Potentially. If nothing exciting comes up in that trial today, then there won't be another video on this channel. But while I'm talking about Alec Murdoch, I've got a poll on Twitter. So if you're a tweeter, then head on over to my profile on Twitter. I'll put the name of it on screen and it's also in the description box of every video. What did Alec Murdoch say? So go over and vote in the poll. But without further ado, this video we're talking about Bryan Kohberger. And can you believe this? I nearly fell over when I read this article. It's been posted in Inside Edition, and it says that Bryan Kohberger vanished for 14 hours while under FBI surveillance. What? What? It's one of those articles where you've got a source that's connected to law enforcement, but you've not got any idea about how credible that source is. So, as always with these kind of reports, then you just got to take it for what it is, right? It might be a complete lie. Make of it what you will and let me know in the comments. So this came out very late my time. So sources in law enforcement would confide with a bristle of embarrassment not long after the car had pulled out of its space in the graduate housing parking lot in Pullman, Washington. They lost it. And this is a report by Mail. So if you remember, Bryan did a cross-country trip with his dad. I think they set off December 13th. They were stopped twice in Indiana on the 15th, heading towards their destination of Pennsylvania. Bryan was going home for Christmas, and unbeknownst to him, he was being watched by the FBI. The plan was to track his vehicle. Now, early on in this case, I said, I don't care if law enforcement tell us nothing, as long as they've got a suspect, they don't lose them. And it very nearly happened. Like, if Bryan Kohberger had been a better criminal, more on the ball, he could have vanished. He could have absolutely vanished at this point. The Idaho murders investigation almost hit a major snag just 2 weeks after authorities classified Bryan Kohberger as a person of interest, according to a new report. Now, obviously, we didn't know at that point he was a person of interest. On December 13th, agents with the FBI lost Kohberger. That is the day that Kohberger headed back home to Pennsylvania from Washington with his father, Michael, who had flown cross-country to join his son on another cross-country trek, but this time by car. So, again, here's the headline. Sources in law enforcement would confide with a bristle of embarrassment not long after the car had pulled out of its space in the graduate housing parking lot in Pullman, Washington. They lost it for several alarming hours or more. The authorities are keeping the precise details of this screw-up close to their vest. The chief suspect in a quadruple homicide that has shocked the nation seemingly vanished. Mail reports that Michael spoke about the trip with the mechanics who serviced his son's car around the holidays. It is Michael who suggested that the two head off early on the morning of December 13th, states the report. You see, the problem with this report is that Airmail is actually a blog. And this is a blog that was controversial in its part 1. And now this is part 2 by Howard Blum. How believable is it? How close is this author to people in law enforcement is the question. So again, make of this what you will. Michael allegedly told the mechanics that he assumed the pair would head down I-90, a trip that would have taken approximately 36 hours. But Bryan, according to what his father told people, insisted the northern route across I-90 promised wintry conditions. Better to head away from the weather, even if it added hours or a day to the trip. So according to Airmail, Kohberger allegedly buttonhooked south towards Colorado, where he'd pick up I-70. That added an additional 6 or 7 hours to the pair's travel time, according to a route map. The FBI did not yet have the DNA sample or cell phone records that would ultimately be presented to the judge who signed off Kohberger's arrest warrant. So they needed to keep a watch on Kohberger. The report does not detail the events that precipitated the FBI losing Kohberger, only the aftermath. A mood of panic rapidly escalated into one of despair. See, this is putting the feelings into this article, and it makes me feel like there is an inside source here. But then again, it might be somebody with a vivid imagination. Frantically, they began to search the records of automated license plate readers in nearby states. It was an exercise in futility. Nothing, not a single hit. You see, the thing is, if this is true, and Bryan Kohberger had been a better criminal, he would have just ditched his vehicle somewhere in the middle of nowhere and acquired another one. Police got a big break, however, 14 hours later, when Kohberger's new Washington State license plates were captured in Lomo, Colorado. And we know that's true, because that has been reported by law enforcement. Agents then tailed Kohberger back home to Pennsylvania and hit yet another hurdle when law enforcement stopped the PhD student twice for tailgating in a span of 20 minutes in Indiana. The agents were frustrated and they were angry. The possibilities were too dangerous, read the report. The main problem, shared law enforcement officials, with an arm's length familiarity with the FBI surveillance operation, was the watchers' helpless passivity. All they could do was observe from a distance and wonder. So does that mean that the FBI were frustrated by the Indiana cops for stopping him? Because it could potentially alert him to the fact that cops were watching him. That flies in the face of what was said when that became known. You know, it was cops were tailing him and they stopped him to get a look at his hands. And it seems more believable that the FBI wouldn't want to stop him. They just want to track him, to not alert him to the fact that cops were watching. 2 weeks later, Kohberger would be arrested and extradited. And in June, he will be formally charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. His public defender in Pennsylvania released a statement saying, Mr. Kohberger has been accused of very serious crimes, but the American justice system cloaks him in a veil of innocence. He should be presumed innocent until proven otherwise, not tried in a court of public opinion. Members of law enforcement are not able to respond to requests for comment due to a non-dissemination order filed in the case. Yet there's a gag order. So who are these sources who are breaking the gag order? You know, if they're law enforcement sources, then they're breaking the gag order. So is this family members of law enforcement officials talking? You know, they're hearing things. I don't know. I don't know what to believe. I could believe this, though. I could. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I've been Michelle. Hope you're well. I'll see you in the next video, which will be very, very soon, over on Michelle Walks. Goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer. Bye, guys. Get off. Cassie.